Okay. Recently, I was going through my bookshelves and I was trying to clean up stuff and find some dividers for binders, and I was going to throw away a lot of old things that I'd printed out over years back in the 2000s. And some of them I had printed off of Wikipedia, and they were, like definitions of certain things, and I had them in binders, and like I said, and then last night or this morning, last night I found some that I really liked. I didn't throw those out, and I thought, I'd do videos on it. This one kind of stuck out to me, and this is actually my take two on this, so hopefully I'll remember everything that I was going to talk about. The last one got corrupted, yeah. So okay, now this one I had actually printed out on July 8th, 2011. And I did look it up to see if they had changed things, and there were a few little changes they had here and there. And one, it was actually a rather big change that they had made to it since then. Now, back then, even before then, with my students, I wouldn't let them look up anything on Wikipedia. And I mean, way back when they first started, it was anybody could add. That's how I saw it. Anybody could add anything, and some of them, they just weren't well edited, and some people, would put things that just were totally wrong. And now, from everything I've understood over the past, I don't know how many years, it's really much better, much, much better. Now, this one is on Parataxic Distortion. And I'll read from the old one here. Like I said, they had a few little words they added in and all with the new ones, but from the older one it says, Parataxic distortion is a psychiatric term first used by Harry S. Sullivan to explain the inclination to skew perceptions of others based on fantasy. It says the distortion is in the perception of others. Now the new one says the distortion is in the faulty perception of others, based not on actual experience with the individual, but from the projected fantasy personality projected. Okay, and to go on, basically it says that, say that you meet somebody new and not you, but this person meets somebody new, and they do this distortion because it reminds them of someone they knew in the past. This new person reminds them of someone they knew in the past. And they use this distortion. They think that that person is going to be just like that person in the past. Let's say the person in the past was a really good person. Say that they were ABC, okay, whatever, ABC. But the new person they're thinking is ABC, it's a good person, ABC. But it's really XYZ. Okay. And that now those of us who have been love bombed, what people call love bomb, when somebody is narcissistic or any kind of toxic person or whatever that uses this, they will come in and they'll act like they think you want them to act. They'll twist it. This does not talk about narcissistic people. This says people who do this. It mentions nothing about narcissistic people, okay? But those of us who have know that some of these people that are narcissistic, they will do this love bombing thing, and they twist that. They play with this. They're master manipulators, and they play with this whole thought. They tell us what we want to hear. They become the ABC when they're actually XYZ. Okay, but we don't know that at first. But yeah, that's the way I see it. Why this seems like it's something good to talk about is because it does seem that way. So let me read on here. It says, for example, when one falls in love, they can create an image of the person as the perfect match or soulmate, only to find out later that the person did not match the original perception. Okay, now that can be that the person who's using this distortion, this defense mechanism, that they're doing it, but it could also be that the other person is doing it, or just they're doing it. Not the other person isn't narcissistic. They're just wrong about the way they want to see it. But like I said, I think that some of the narcissistic people play with this. So, okay. Some of this says that basically some people will develop this under, because of the stress, like trying to get into a new relationship. And this kind of behavior can start in early childhood, very early. And basically it says that we all do this to some degree. We have stereotypes of people, and some of it's for, we do, but we do because of survival needs. Really, I've mentioned that before myself. But for some people, it's rather pathological. They do this. They basically develop a fantasy world about the way that they see other people, certain, like new people, and others around them can't relate. They say, no, that person is not ABC, that person is XYZ. But they do this because it helps them in various ways. Let me read more on it. Okay, now I'm going to read off some of the stuff that I underscored here. It says, when a parataxic distortion occurs, it can be a positive emotion at first, then leading one to believe false expectations. Now, if a person is this type of using this defense mechanism, they put on that person that they're ABC. They're expecting that. They're expecting those behaviors, and they are behaving that way toward this person. Okay, now moving on. It says, it has been studied that adults are beginning to display attachment styles in romantic settings. This can lead to negative effects in a relationship. When someone decides on an image to associate another individual with, it is difficult to be detached from that thought. It is almost like having an addiction. Now, some of us who have may have heard or may have even experienced it with somebody who's narcissistic when they're doing that. After getting in a relationship with them, trying to get away from it is like dealing with an addiction. Okay. Now, I do wonder, it does beg, like I said earlier, if they are using this parataxic distortion, this defense mechanism, or the narcissistic person is making that happen. Okay. Or both. Anyway, and then it becomes this kind of addiction. Now, there's a lot of things people can say about feeling addicted to that person and that they cause it. I don't like blaming victims. Anyway, to go on. Something that is psychologically or physically habit forming. This can lead to anxiousness and insecurity. It can also lead to personality changes because they are so consumed by their relational life. People begin to adapt to the images they have created for other people. And that's the old one. The new one says something different about that. Okay, maybe many of us, I don't know if it's going to be many or maybe a few of us have actually known somebody who's used this defense mechanism in a relationship, and some it might even be us, that they see that person, like I said earlier, totally different way than anybody else around them. And some will think, oh, that's just because they love them, just because, but no, they may have been manipulated. Okay, and that, I think this is what it is referring to in some ways, but it's not talking about, it seems to be more like, if you use it in that context, it's blaming the victim, but no, this is a separate thing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read on here. It's basically saying that we do the thing of generalizing, it says generalizations about that person and find common ground to relate with them. Okay, then another part says this kind of distortion in our unconscious minds make us act the same way in current situations as we did in the past without even realizing it. Okay, now this is something that we all do to some extent, but not in that pathological way that is bizarre way out there that nobody else can see it that way. Okay, then it goes on. And another is under the defense mechanism, it says, when a person uses parataxic distortion as a defense mechanism, it is to protect one from the feeling or consequences from the past event. And then a little bit more, it says the use of the distortion at this level is always pathological and makes coping with reality possible for the individual. The grossly reshaping of reality in order to cope with internal struggles makes an individual seem irrational and insane to people of the outside world. Okay, this distortion as a defense mechanism starts in childhood and continues through adulthood if not properly treated. I would wonder who could, because then it goes on, it says the major problem with you using this distortion as a defense mechanism is that the individual will create an unrealistic world that nobody can help or understand. I would really wonder what kind of counselor could help with that. Seriously, it had to be one really great one. But yeah, I can see that. I've known people who create that. People are very different than that they actually are. But to some of us, that have been them, we pick up on things that others don't pick up on, maybe, because they want to see the person a certain way. They want to think of that person as like someone they knew in the past that was a really great, wonderful person, like I just said earlier, when they're really not. They're really just purely evil, Okay, I think that's enough on this one for now, but my first one was much better, but I learned a lesson. Don't ever change the name of a PowerPoint slide once you've already put it in Movie Maker. Okay, I'm using Movie Maker. And because it's all bad then, and it won't, the editing is a mess, and it won't do it right. It'll put the narrations in, like you say 1, 2, 3, it'll say 1, 3, 2. But I'm going to start trying to do them like, from inside the home. But the first one I had a lot of distraction with, and but like I said, the first one was still better, And but I want to do more of these. I have a whole bunch of binders with these, and just go through like a refresher course. But anyway, I hope I didn't leave anything out. This is basically like the little bit of notes I wrote were like, people are basically that do this. They could be doing it because they're purposefully trying to overlook that that other person is XYZ and not ABC. And they go deeper and deeper into this fantasy world that they've created about this person, about all around, because there's the stress of what they want. Now, some might call that a bit narcissistic, that they want this to be this way, this perfect soulmate, this perfect person to match their perfect fantasy world that they want to live in, and then they're not seeing the reality of that person. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and hopefully this one will actually work, because I feel rushed in this one after that. Repeating myself, I don't like that. Anyway, I'll talk to you on another video.